As you may know, I represent Sheriff Joe Arpaio, America's sheriff. I've had numerous successes for him. We succeeded in killing Obama's 5 million person amnesty for illegal aliens. I've represented him in other matters, and I've been representing him as well in a case where he was seeking to have the pardon which President Trump gave to him result in a removal of his conviction for a misdemeanor, finding that he had profiled. Of course, he didn't, but of course, the judges in Arizona set him up. They were Clinton and Obama appointees for having done so. A decision came down from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit yesterday by a judge called Jay Bybee. I've had my run-ins with Bybee. He is an appointee of President W. Bush. I mean, he is an absolutely terrible judge. He's very biased. He's from Las Vegas, Nevada. He sustained keeping me out of the Bundy case. I had to be a consultant in the criminal prosecution, played a vital role, brought other cases. But he issued a decision yesterday which basically said that Arpaio's finding of a misdemeanor would stand. Not only was that incorrect, but the way he issues these decisions causes some problems here, because he also said that Arpaio was never convicted of a crime. And that's true, and that helps us in our libel case against Rolling Stone and Huffington Post. We previously brought one against CNN because they've called the good sheriff a convicted felon. He's not a felon. It was a misdemeanor, and now Bybee's saying it wasn't even a conviction. But the problem is this guy is so biased. This is somebody who not only sustained waterboarding when he was at the Bush Justice Department, but he also found that prisons could open up mail from attorneys to their clients in a dissenting opinion in one case. He has little respect for the Sixth Amendment, and he's the one who sustained a finding by a very politicized Obama judge, Gloria Navarro, keeping me out of representing Cliven Bundy in the defense trial. I want you to take a look at this decision. You can find it on the internet. I'm going to post it on freedomwatchusa.org and also on larryclayman.com, because this is exemplary of the problems that we have with the federal judiciary. Highly politicized, people who wear a chip on their shoulder frequently, and who don't represent the American people. And it's also another issue here, because Sheriff Joe Arpaio has been made radioactive. He's a good man. I've never heard a racist word out of his mouth. He is someone who obviously wants to enforce the law and has enforced the law. He's running again for sheriff in Maricopa County. I suspect that he'll be reelected again, although he lost the last election because George Soros poured a lot of money in there and had him hit. But take a look at Judge Jay Bybee. Okay, he is not one of the best and brightest. And one of the things that really was upsetting is that when he issued his decision, he didn't even list me as counsel for the sheriff. I was one of the counsel for him, which shows the manipulation and games that these judges play. And the reason he didn't do that, I believe, is because intervening in that case with Arpaio was someone by the name of Michael Tiger, a avowed communist, someone who loves the Castros. Talk about Bernie Sanders, Tigers of that ilk, but even probably further left. He was a clerk on the U.S. Supreme Court for Justice William Brennan in the earlier part of his career. He's now, I think, about 78. He was fired by Brennan at the request of J. Edgar Hoover and conservative groups. He went on to work for a lot of subversive people that were out there, ultra-leftists. You can look at his profile on Google him up. And he also has written a recent book where Bernardine Dorn, also a communist, praises him for his criticism of capitalist law. Now, he sits on a hearing committee in a disciplinary proceeding in the District of Columbia that I've been involved with, and he made a recommendation that I be suspended. And that's just a recommendation. It's up on appeal, and I'm confident of ultimate success. But these are the kinds of people that are out there today. I mean, it is a bunch of witches and warlocks out there that are basically doing whatever they want to harm people politically in this age of Trump. And anybody who's a supporter of Donald Trump becomes an enemy of the state, of the left. And that's why we at Freedom Watch have a leftist strike force, leftist media strike force, where we're bringing hard-hitting cases for Laura Loomer, for Sheriff Joe Arpaio, for Justice Roy Moore, for others, for myself. And this is very, very important because, and I was very heartened to see that the president struck back the other day by suing the New York Times, his campaign. And I'm going to be intervening in that for Dr. Corsi because that defamation drew Dr. Corsi into the Mueller witch hunt. But this is the world we live in today. It's a vicious, mean world, particularly in Washington, D.C. Everybody's out to get everybody else. In particular, the left is out to destroy conservatives, libertarians, people of faith, and the right. We have to fight back. We just cannot roll over. And that's why I bring one lawsuit after another. I've had a number of successes throughout my career, contrary to what the left publishes. I was the only lawyer ever to have found that a president committed a crime. That was Bill Clinton. I'm the only lawyer to have ever found that the NSA and under Obama was violating Fourth Amendment constitutional rights. It resulted in the USA Freedom Act, but they continue to violate that. I'm the only lawyer, frankly, who succeeded in helping people like the Bundys and others. I mean, there were other lawyers that played a role, but I played a material role. And of course, I kept Jerry Corsi recently out of being indicted and another unnamed client as well from even being called in front of a grand jury. I could go on and on and on. And that's important because even people who claim to be conservatives like Roger Stone, and he's not a conservative, this is somebody who plays both sides of the street, frankly, for financial gain and other reasons. But he defamed me recently, it's about a year ago, and said I've never won a case. Well, that's obviously untrue. In fact, I have a long history of winning cases as a private lawyer as well. So this is what we're dealing with today. And these judges make it worse because they make people radioactive, particularly on the federal bench. And this is something that we're fighting against. So I want you to go to freedomwatchusa.org, support our leftist media strike force, join our Justice League. We are your Justice Department. Larry Klayman is fearless. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't go the distance in everything that I do. I'd rather flip hamburgers at McDonald's, frankly. And that's where I was back in 1994 when I started Judicial Watch. If I hadn't started Judicial Watch, I probably would no longer be a practicing lawyer because I had seen just how corrupt the legal system is and remains. And this is something which needs to be resolved because if we don't have a legal system that works, that metes out equal justice, that addresses issues, that have judges that make decisions on the merits, not on the basis of their politics and personal predilections, then what protects us from the tyranny of the other two branches of government and ourselves? And I've said this many, many times because if we don't have a judiciary that will stand in the stead for we the people, then we're entering into a revolutionary mode, and I don't want to see that. The country's going to come unglued. And I've said figuratively, not literally, but if the revolution ever breaks out, it'll be the federal judges that are first taken to the guillotines. I don't mean that they should be taken to the guillotines, but they are the worst offenders. And they will be the ones mostly responsible for any revolution in this country because the founding fathers put them in there to serve as a check, to be our protectors. And instead, they scratch the backs of people that get them their job in the federal system, and they protect themselves. And that's why you need to support Freedom Watch, because we are pursuing citizens' grand juries, citizens' justice peacefully and legally. Hard-hitting cases, occasionally we get a judge who will do his or her job. And we got to keep fighting. People said, Larry, why do you file so many lawsuits? And I said, because it's like a MIRV missile. If just one warhead gets through, you win. And I've had a number of victories, and that's why we need your support. And we're continuing. We just filed a case against Pete Buttigieg and Elizabeth Warren for defaming George Zimmerman as a white supremacist. He's not even white. And he helped minority kids. He defended himself in self-defense, and he was found to be not guilty by a jury, yet the left continues to try to destroy him. And these people like Buttigieg and Warren want to get votes because they're not doing well in the black community, so they can destroy George Zimmerman. Well, that's why you need a Freedom Watch, and that's why you need a Larry Klayman. And that's why I want you to share this podcast. I want you to look up Judge Jay Bybee of the Ninth Circuit. I want you to look up Michael Tiger and see who's sitting on bar committees. It's unbelievable. And the D.C. bar has become a tool of the Democrats. Everybody there nearly, with few exceptions, is given heavily to Democrat candidates. Everyone there hates Trump. And obviously anybody who supports Trump becomes their victim, gets in their sights. DC bar, they're good bars, around the country, but this one is not one of them. And it's a big problem, particularly in DC, where over 90% of the electorate voted for Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Very partisan area. And the DC court is almost as bad as the Northern District of California, believe me. So in any event, please share this podcast. You can find it on radioamerica.com. You can find it on freedomwatchusa.org, on Spotify, on Patreon, and a host of different sites. Share it with your friends. And until our next podcast this coming Monday, God bless you, God bless your family, God bless America, and God save America. And thank you for listening to me.